Maya Johnson had dreamed of flying since she was 7 years old, watching jets streak across the sky above her grandmother's house in Alabama. Now, at 22, she stood at the gates of the prestigious Falcon Ridge Flight Academy, her acceptance letter clutched in her sweaty palm. The academy was known for producing some of the finest military pilots in the country, and Maya had worked tirelessly through college to earn her spot among the elite candidates. The first day of training dawned crisp and clear. Maya arrived early, her gear perfectly organized and her uniform pressed to military standards. She had studied every manual, memorized every procedure, and prepared herself mentally for the challenges ahead. As she walked into the briefing room, conversations died down, and she felt the weight of curious stares. She was one of only 3 women in a class of 45 and the only black woman in the entire academy that year. Colonel Harrison, the chief instructor, was a weathered man with steel-gray eyes and a reputation for breaking even the toughest recruits. He surveyed the room with the intensity of a hawk before beginning his welcome speech. His words were sharp and precise, outlining the rigorous standards expected of future fighter pilots. Maya listened intently, absorbing every detail, her determination burning brighter with each challenge he described. The first weeks were brutal. Physical training began before dawn, followed by hours of classroom instruction covering aerodynamics, navigation, and combat tactics. Maya excelled academically, often scoring at the top of written exams. However, she noticed that her achievements were met with skepticism rather than praise. Instructors questioned her calculations, double-checked her work, and subjected her to additional scrutiny that her male counterparts didn't face. During flight simulations, Maya demonstrated exceptional spatial awareness and quick reflexes. Her ability to handle complex maneuvers under pressure impressed even the most critical observers. Yet whispers followed her through the corridors. Some claimed she was there to fill a quota, others suggested her scores were inflated to meet diversity requirements. Maya kept her head high and her focus sharp, refusing to let the doubt of others shake her confidence. The breaking point came during her 8th week of training. Maya had just completed a flawless simulation exercise, landing a virtual F-16 in challenging weather conditions that had stumped several other cadets. As she exited the simulator, feeling proud of her performance, she overheard Instructor Captain Reynolds talking to another officer in the hallway. "I don't care what the scores say," Reynolds was saying, his voice carrying an edge of frustration. "She doesn't belong here. This isn't about her flying ability. It's about unit cohesion. The boys don't trust her, and frankly, neither do I. A pilot needs to fit in with their squadron, and she's just too different." The words hit Maya like a physical blow. She had worked twice as hard as anyone else, proven herself repeatedly, and maintained professionalism even when faced with subtle discrimination. Her hands trembled as she realized that no amount of skill or dedication would be enough to overcome the prejudices some instructors harbored. That evening, Maya called her grandmother, the woman who had raised her after her parents died in a car accident when Maya was 12. "Grandma Pearl, I don't know if I can do this," she whispered into the phone, tears threatening to fall for the first time since arriving at the academy. "Baby girl," Pearl's voice was warm and strong across the miles, "your daddy faced the same kind of hatred when he tried to join the police force. But you know what he told me? He said the world doesn't change because good people give up. It changes because good people refuse to quit, even when the path gets rocky." Maya's father had been her hero, a man who fought for justice even when it cost him personally. His memory had driven her through countless obstacles, and now she drew strength from it again. She wiped her tears and made a silent promise to persevere. The next morning brought the announcement of upcoming evaluations that would determine who advanced to the next phase of training. Maya threw herself into preparation with renewed intensity. She studied late into the night, practiced emergency procedures until they became second nature, and pushed her physical fitness to new levels. However, the hostility around her continued to escalate. Equipment mysteriously malfunctioned during her training sessions. Her flight suit was accidentally damaged, requiring her to use backup gear that didn't fit properly. Study materials disappeared from her locker, forcing her to rely on borrowed books with missing pages. Each incident was explained away as coincidence or oversight, but the pattern was unmistakable. Despite these sabotage attempts, Maya's performance remained exceptional. During a particularly challenging night navigation exercise, she successfully completed the course while other cadets struggled with equipment failures and weather complications. Her ability to adapt and overcome impressed even her harshest critics, though they were reluctant to admit it publicly. The evaluation day arrived with unusual tension in the air. Maya had prepared meticulously for every possible scenario. Her written examination was flawless, her physical fitness test exceeded requirements, and her flight simulation was nothing short of spectacular. She executed a complex aerial maneuver sequence that left observers speechless, threading her virtual aircraft through a series of obstacles that pushed both machine and pilot to their limits. As she climbed out of the simulator, Maya felt confident that she had proven herself beyond any reasonable doubt. Her scores were among the highest in the class, her technical knowledge was superior to most of her peers, and her flying instincts were sharp and reliable. She had overcome every obstacle placed in her path and demonstrated the qualities that made exceptional pilots. That afternoon, the results were posted outside the administrative office. Maya's heart pounded as she approached the bulletin board, surrounded by other anxious cadets. She scanned the list of names for those advancing to advanced training, certain her name would be near the top. But as her eyes traveled down the page, a cold dread settled in her stomach. Her name was not on the advancement list. Instead, she found it on a much shorter list titled, Recommended for Alternative Career Paths. The euphemistic language couldn't hide the reality she was being ejected from the program, despite her superior performance. Maya stared at the posting in disbelief. Cadets with lower scores, weaker flying skills, and poor academic records had advanced while she was being dismissed. The injustice was so blatant that several of her classmates looked uncomfortable as they noticed her name's placement. Colonel Harrison's office door was open when Maya knocked. He looked up from his paperwork with an expression that suggested he had been expecting her visit. "Cadet Johnson," he said formally, "I suppose you're here about the evaluation results." "Sir, I believe there's been a mistake," Maya began, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her chest. "My scores exceeded the advancement requirements in every category. My flight performance has been consistently excellent, and my academic record is among the best in the class." The colonel leaned back in his chair, studying her with those steel-gray eyes. "Johnson, being a military pilot requires more than just technical skills. It requires leadership qualities, team integration, and the ability to command respect from peers and subordinates. The evaluation committee felt you were lacking in these areas." Maya felt her professional composure beginning to crack. "Sir, with respect, what specific leadership deficiencies were noted in my record? I've volunteered for additional duties, assisted struggling classmates, and maintained exemplary conduct throughout the program." "The decision has been made, Cadet Johnson," Harrison replied, his tone indicating the conversation was over. "You have 2 days to complete your exit processing. I suggest you consider other branches of military service where your skills might be better utilized." Walking out of that office was the longest journey of Maya's life. Behind her lay months of dreams, sacrifice, and relentless effort. Ahead stretched an uncertain future filled with the bitter taste of injustice. As she packed her belongings that night, Maya made a vow that would reshape her destiny. She would not simply accept this defeat. She would find another way to achieve her dreams, and someday she would return to prove that their judgment had been catastrophically wrong. 5 years had passed since Maya Johnson walked away from Falcon Ridge Flight Academy with her dreams seemingly shattered. The sting of that rejection had transformed from a sharp pain into a burning motivation that drove every decision she made. Instead of abandoning her aviation aspirations, Maya had chosen a different path that would ultimately prove more challenging and rewarding than anything the Academy could have offered. After leaving Falcon Ridge, Maya enlisted in the Air Force as an aircraft maintenance specialist. While her classmates from the Academy were learning to fly training aircraft, Maya was getting her hands dirty with the intricate mechanical systems that kept fighter jets in the air. She spent her days troubleshooting hydraulic systems, calibrating flight computers, and understanding every bolt and wire that made these magnificent machines function. Her technical expertise quickly became legendary among the maintenance crews. Maya could diagnose engine problems by sound alone and had an intuitive understanding of how aircraft systems interacted under stress. Senior mechanics who had been working on jets for decades sought her opinions on complex repairs. Her ability to solve problems that stumped others earned her rapid promotions and specialized training opportunities. During her off-duty hours, Maya pursued her pilot's license through civilian channels. She worked weekends at a small airport, trading maintenance work for flight instruction. Her instructor was a retired Air Force pilot named Marcus Chen, who recognized her exceptional abilities and became her mentor. Marcus had faced his own challenges as an Asian American pilot in the military and understood the obstacles Maya had encountered. "You have something special," Marcus told her one evening after a particularly challenging lesson. "Your understanding of how the aircraft thinks gives you an advantage most pilots never develop. You don't just fly the machine, you communicate with it." Maya's civilian flying hours accumulated steadily. She mastered complex aerobatic maneuvers, earned her instrument rating, and eventually qualified for commercial pilot certification. More importantly, she gained access to flight time in retired military aircraft through airshow organizations and private collectors. Each hour in the cockpit sharpened her skills and deepened her understanding of high-performance aviation. Her break came through an unexpected connection. During a maintenance assignment at Nellis Air Force Base, Maya encountered Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a civilian test pilot working on experimental aircraft modifications. Dr. Mitchell was struggling with persistent flight control issues that ground crews couldn't resolve. Maya's analysis revealed a subtle interaction between the modified software and the aircraft's original hydraulic systems that others had missed. "You see connections that others miss," Dr. Mitchell observed after Maya's solution proved successful. "Have you ever considered test pilot school?" The suggestion opened a door Maya hadn't known existed. Test pilot school represented the pinnacle of aviation expertise, requiring candidates to possess both exceptional flying skills and engineering knowledge. The program was intensely competitive, accepting only the most qualified applicants, regardless of their background or previous setbacks. Maya spent 6 months preparing her application with the same determination that had carried her through every previous challenge. Her unique combination of maintenance expertise and flight experience created a compelling candidate profile. When the acceptance letter arrived, Maya felt a vindication that went beyond personal satisfaction. She was being recognized for her actual abilities rather than being judged by prejudices. The test pilot program proved to be the most demanding experience of Maya's life. Students were expected to master aircraft they had never seen before, often flying experimental modifications with unknown flight characteristics. Maya's maintenance background provided crucial insights into how modifications might affect aircraft behavior, giving her an edge in understanding new systems quickly. Her fellow students initially viewed her with curiosity rather than hostility. Test pilot school attracted unconventional candidates with diverse backgrounds, and Maya's technical expertise was valued rather than questioned. For the first time since leaving Falcon Ridge, she felt truly accepted by her peers in aviation. The program's climax came during advanced flight testing assignments. Maya was selected to evaluate modifications to a trainer aircraft that would eventually be incorporated into frontline fighters. The test required pushing the aircraft beyond normal operational limits while collecting precise data on performance characteristics. It was dangerous work that demanded split-second decision-making and absolute trust in one's abilities. During one particularly challenging test flight, Maya encountered a situation that would have terrified most pilots. A software glitch caused the flight control system to behave erratically at high altitude. Instead of immediately landing, Maya recognized the importance of understanding the problem thoroughly. She carefully documented the system's behavior while maintaining control, providing engineers with crucial data that prevented similar failures in operational aircraft. Her cool professionalism under extreme pressure impressed everyone involved in the program. Maya had demonstrated not just flying skill, but the analytical thinking and courage that defined exceptional test pilots. Her instructor's evaluation noted that she possessed a rare combination of technical knowledge, flying ability, and judgment under pressure. Graduation from test pilot school opened doors throughout the aerospace industry. Maya received offers from civilian manufacturers, defense contractors, and government research facilities. However, she chose to remain in the Air Force, accepting an assignment to a classified program developing next-generation fighter technologies. The work was fascinating and challenging, involving aircraft so advanced that their capabilities remained secret years after development. Maya found herself testing systems that pushed the boundaries of what was possible in aviation. Her reports influenced design decisions that would affect military aviation for decades to come. Word of Maya's exceptional abilities began to spread through military aviation circles. Test pilots from other programs sought her opinions on complex technical questions. She published papers in professional journals that advanced understanding of human factors in high-performance flight. Her reputation grew not through publicity, but through the respect of peers who recognized genuine expertise. During this period, Maya also became involved in mentoring programs for young people interested in aviation careers. She visited schools in underserved communities, sharing her story and encouraging students to pursue their dreams despite obstacles. These interactions reminded her of her own journey and strengthened her resolve to break barriers for others. The irony of her situation was not lost on Maya. While her former Falcon Ridge classmates were flying standard fighter aircraft in routine assignments, she was testing the most advanced aircraft in the world. Her technical knowledge had evolved far beyond what any traditional pilot training could have provided. The rejection that had seemed like a catastrophic setback had actually led to opportunities that surpassed her original dreams. As Maya accumulated flight time in increasingly sophisticated aircraft, she began receiving inquiries about potential assignments to operational fighter squadrons. The Air Force was developing new doctrines that valued her unique combination of test pilot experience and technical expertise. Squadron commanders wanted pilots who could not only fly their aircraft, but also push the boundaries of tactical employment. The possibility of returning to the fighter pilot track that had been denied to her years earlier created mixed emotions for Maya. Part of her wanted the validation of achieving her original goal. Another part recognized that her path had led to experiences and expertise that made her more valuable than any traditionally trained pilot. The decision was made for her when she received an unexpected phone call from General Patricia Williams, the first African-American woman to command a fighter wing. The general had been following Maya's career and had a proposal that would challenge everything Maya thought she knew about her future in military aviation. "Captain Johnson," the general said, her voice carrying authority earned through decades of breaking barriers, I have an opportunity that might interest you. We're forming a new squadron to evaluate next-generation fighter aircraft in operational conditions. The assignment would involve flying the most advanced fighters in our inventory, but it would also require you to help train other pilots in their employment. Are you interested in making history? Maya's response came without hesitation. Yes, ma'am. When do I start? 8 years after her dismissal from Falcon Ridge Flight Academy, Major Maya Johnson found herself strapped into the cockpit of an F-22 Raptor, the most advanced fighter aircraft ever built. The sleek Predator around her represented the pinnacle of military aviation technology, incorporating systems she had helped test and evaluate during her years as an experimental pilot. Today's mission would take her back to a place that held painful memories, but she would return as something no one at Falcon Ridge had ever imagined possible. The F-22's engines hummed with barely contained power as Maya completed her pre-flight checklist. Each switch and display was familiar to her from countless hours in simulators and test flights, but today felt different. General Williams had personally briefed her on the mission: deliver the newest F-22 to Falcon Ridge Flight Academy for a demonstration that would showcase the aircraft to international allies. It was a routine ferry flight that would normally be assigned to any qualified Raptor pilot, but Maya knew the general had chosen her specifically for the symbolic significance. "Viper 1, you are cleared for takeoff," came the voice of the tower controller at Edwards Air Force Base. Maya acknowledged the clearance and smoothly advanced the throttles. The F-22 responded like a living creature, accelerating down the runway with tremendous force. As the aircraft lifted into the clear California sky, Maya felt the familiar thrill of flight mixed with anticipation for what lay ahead. The flight to Falcon Ridge would take approximately 2 hours, giving Maya time to reflect on the journey that had brought her to this moment. She had become one of only a handful of pilots qualified to fly the F-22 in operational conditions, earning the assignment through demonstrated excellence rather than connections or politics. Her expertise in both test flying and fighter operations made her uniquely valuable to the Air Force's evolving mission requirements. During the flight, Maya reviewed the details of the upcoming demonstration. The Academy was hosting a gathering of international military officers considering F-22 acquisitions for their own air forces. Her job was to showcase the aircraft's capabilities through a series of maneuvers that would highlight its stealth characteristics, supercruise ability, and advanced avionics. It was a prestigious assignment that reflected the Air Force's confidence in her abilities. As the familiar landscape of Falcon Ridge came into view, Maya felt a complex mix of emotions. The Academy looked exactly as she remembered it: pristine buildings arranged around perfectly maintained runways, with training aircraft lined up in neat rows. She could see groups of cadets moving between buildings, their uniforms sharp and their bearing reflecting the military precision drilled into them from day one. Falcon Ridge Tower. "This is Viper 1, requesting permission to enter the pattern," Maya radioed, her voice professional and calm. "Viper 1, Falcon Ridge Tower. You are cleared to enter left downwind for runway 27. Be advised we have training aircraft in the pattern." Maya acknowledged the clearance and maneuvered the F-22 into position. From her vantage point high above the Academy, she could see the flight line where she had once dreamed of learning to fly military aircraft. Now she was returning in the most advanced fighter in the world, carrying credentials that surpassed anything the Academy could have provided. The landing was flawless, the F-22 touching down with the precision that came from countless hours of practice. As Maya taxied toward the designated parking area, she noticed a crowd gathering near the flight line. Academy staff, visiting dignitaries, and current cadets were all eager to see the legendary aircraft up close. Maya shut down the engines and began her post-flight procedures, taking her time to ensure everything was properly secured. Through the cockpit canopy, she could see Colonel Harrison approaching with a group of senior officers. Her former instructor looked older, but still carried himself with the same rigid bearing she remembered from her cadet days. As Maya climbed down from the F-22, removing her helmet to reveal her face, she saw recognition dawn in Colonel Harrison's eyes. For a moment, the confident military officer seemed genuinely stunned. He had expected a routine aircraft delivery by an unknown pilot, not the return of a cadet he had dismissed years earlier. "Colonel Harrison," Maya said, extending her hand with professional courtesy. "Major Johnson reporting for demonstration duty, sir." The colonel recovered his composure quickly, accepting her handshake while processing the implications of her presence. "Major Johnson," he replied carefully, "I wasn't aware you were our demonstration pilot today." "The assignment came through Air Combat Command, sir," Maya explained. "General Williams felt that my test pilot background and F-22 experience made me the appropriate choice for this mission." The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of General Martinez, the Academy's current commandant, who had taken over from Harrison's predecessor. Unlike Harrison, the general seemed genuinely pleased to see Maya and immediately began asking technical questions about the F-22's capabilities. His enthusiasm was infectious, and soon a group of international observers had gathered to hear Maya's explanations of the aircraft's advanced systems. Maya spent the next hour conducting a detailed briefing about the F-22's capabilities, drawing on her unique perspective as both a test pilot and operational fighter pilot. Her knowledge was encyclopedic, covering everything from the aircraft's radar-evading design to its sophisticated electronic warfare systems. The visiting officers were impressed not just by the aircraft, but by Maya's obvious expertise and professionalism. During a brief break, Colonel Harrison approached Maya privately. His demeanor was noticeably different from their last encounter 8 years earlier. "Major, I owe you an apology," he began, his voice lower than usual. "When you were here as a cadet, I made decisions based on outdated thinking. Your achievements since then have proven me wrong." Maya studied her former instructor's face, seeing genuine remorse in his expression. "Sir, that was a long time ago. We've all learned and grown since then." "Perhaps," Harrison replied, "but I want you to know that your success has caused me to reevaluate many of my assumptions about what makes a good pilot. We've made changes here at the Academy, improvements that I hope would prevent similar mistakes." Before Maya could respond, they were interrupted by an announcement that the flight demonstration was about to begin. Maya excused herself and began her preparation for what would be the most meaningful flight of her career. Strapping back into the F-22's cockpit, Maya felt a sense of completion rather than vindication. She had not returned to Falcon Ridge to prove anyone wrong or to settle old scores. Instead, her presence here represented the culmination of a journey that had taken her far beyond anything she could have achieved through traditional paths. "Viper 1, you are cleared for takeoff," came the tower's voice, the same professional tone she had heard countless times before. "Viper 1, cleared for takeoff," Maya acknowledged, advancing the throttles and feeling the F-22's tremendous power respond to her commands. The demonstration flight was spectacular. Maya put the F-22 through a series of maneuvers that showcased its incredible capabilities while maintaining the precise control that marked a true professional. She demonstrated the aircraft's ability to supercruise without afterburners, performed vertical climbs that seemed to defy physics, and executed turns so tight that observers gasped in amazement. But beyond the technical demonstration, Maya's flight represented something more profound. Every maneuver was executed with the skill and confidence that came from years of pushing boundaries and refusing to accept limitations. She flew not as someone seeking approval, but as a pilot who had earned her place through merit and determination. As the F-22 touched down after the demonstration, Maya knew that this chapter of her story was closing. She had returned to Falcon Ridge not as the uncertain cadet who had been dismissed years earlier, but as one of the Air Force's most accomplished pilots. The rejection that had once seemed like an ending had actually been the beginning of something far greater. Climbing out of the cockpit for the final time at Falcon Ridge, Maya was approached by a young cadet, a black woman whose eyes shone with admiration and hope. "Major Johnson," the cadet said, "I just wanted to thank you. Seeing you here today, flying that aircraft, it means everything to me." Maya smiled, remembering her own dreams and struggles. "What's your name, cadet?" "Williams, ma'am. Cadet Angela Williams." "Well, Cadet Williams," Maya replied, placing a hand on the young woman's shoulder. "Remember that sometimes the path to your dreams doesn't look like what you expected. But if you keep working, keep believing in yourself, you might find that the destination is even better than you imagined." As Maya prepared to depart Falcon Ridge for the final time, she carried with her the satisfaction of a mission completed and a journey well traveled. She had proven that excellence could not be denied forever, that determination could overcome prejudice, and that sometimes the most significant victories came not from defeating others, but from becoming the person you were meant to be.